Welcome in, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me. That abruptly um, switched over as I continue to work through all this fun stuff. But let me know you're out there and that you can hear my voice and everything. Yeah, and you're out pretty far out in the middle of nowhere, aren't you, Carly? Do I? Uh, Randy, welcome. Where are you today or this weekend? Hi, Mom. So appreciate that. I've been trying to control the volumes on here because some of them have been coming out loud. I can turn it up a little bit here, but it's a miracle that it's working. So let's see if we can get started and let me know you're out there. Oh, that's gonna bug me because that's OCD thing for me now. Thanks, Gopher Girl, for that. I've really got to get the chat working to show up on OBS so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth between systems. That's kind of annoying. Hey, Jimmy, welcome in. Yep, out in the middle of nowhere. On the couch at home. That must be a foreign place for you, Randy. Hey, Bill, welcome in. Hey, Brad, welcome to the show. Nice to have you in here. Looks like we've got a hearty crowd because you're probably sick of missing me. That's at least what I'm going to tell myself. Did you at least stop at the hobby shop in Long Island when you were up there, Bill? I think I said hi, Mom, but hi, Mom. All right. So I'm also trying to keep my microphone. If I come over here, you can see it out of the camera, but that's not working well because I got to find a better position for the camera somehow. Um, so what I will do for so that we don't have the frustration that we had last week, if this camera is not working or is slow because it's wireless, I will move this to the bigger slot over here and I'll show you stuff through that webcam because it's wired and that didn't have any problems throughout the live stream last week. That was kind of a disaster with this camera. So we'll see how we proceed with that. All right. So, all this time, all these years, I still have yet to take an Acela train. Um, they have some really fast trains that'll get you from Washington, D.C. to New Jersey, New York, um, except for when, they open a bridge and can't close it or whatever may be. Um, that can slow you down, but I still haven't taken the Acela though. And oftentimes the train route we've taken back from Minneapolis would go to Washington D.C. Actually, it does now all the time. We always go to Washington D.C. and then up to on the Empire Build. We take the Empire Builder from Minneapolis to Chicago, And I don't remember what it was. I think it was the Cardinal the last time I took it. And that went down to Washington D.C. and then I took their regular commuter trains, I think, but they're not regular commuter trains. They're more of an express. But they get up to like 110 miles an hour when the track's open. So anyway, the last one was terrible because they got stuck. There was a bridge in I think it was it was in Maryland, or was it in Maryland? And it was like a small bridge, so they had to, it had to open up for boat traffic, and that took forever, and it stopped a bunch of trains, and we were stopped for like an hour. That's after a long delay. Oh, the regional, that's what they call them. That's right. Yeah. So yeah. So neat. Okay. So you got to do that. So health update. Well, things are getting a little easier. Still having trouble with the ribs on my left side, your right side. I tried to lay down and tried to get to sleep in the bed for the first time in 4 weeks, and wasn't able to do that. The worst part of it, though, is I still wake up with a lot of pain, sitting in the chair, kind of laying on an angle. I get the sleep is fine, but I get pretty sore. So still have a lot of trouble when I have to take our dogs out and things. Getting collars on them, bending over is just a pain in the pain in the rib. But it's getting better. We're at the end of week 4, so it should be getting better at this point, and so I'm happy with the progress. But it's still would like to be back to normal. Still would like to lay down fully for an extended period of time instead of a couple minutes. So yeah, all right. Getting started on what's been going on. What is this thing here? It's got a little loop in it and everything. This is called a side project. So, Gopher Girl asks, she's starting to try and take my tools, and I don't like it. And so she was dusting off a bunch of her Legos that haven't been moved in a while and needed a lot of dusting. And so she was trolling around on the interweb and found that most people use makeup brushes. So she said she wanted to go out and get a makeup brush, and I was like, "Well, you could borrow one of mine." And she goes, "You have one of those?" And I said, "Yeah." And I had gotten a set on Amazon a while ago for powders, for weathering with powders, a couple years ago now, and so then if I don't grab stuff, it doesn't seem to come back to me. So I made sure to grab it, and then she really wanted to hold on to it and said she was getting attached to it. So I went to Dollar Tree, and I picked up her own brushes, a nice fan brush to brush off a large area, and then a kind of a round makeup brush for smaller areas, nice soft bristles, so they'll work very well. But then she has a bunch of things lying around, so she said it would be nice to have something to put the brushes in. And so I'm like, challenge accepted. So this is one of the many test prints I did. But let me show you. Let me see if I can remember how to do anything on this wonderful piece of work here. Let's see here. Let's see if we can. that. Got to remember how to do these things. Browser. See if I can. Let me see if I can add this to this, because we do things differently here. See if it'll. Let me see if it'll do anything here for me. Okay. That is not what I was looking to do. So let me see how else I can pull that in. Appreciate you bearing with me here. All right. I might just have to do it that way, huh? It's not gonna let me. All right, it's gonna be a problem. So this is where it's a little different than the other systems. This is, you have to do some prep work with these types of things. And let's see if I can even do this. All right, let me try and reconnect it here. Yeah, I might have to. I might have to come up with a miracle or something here. Let's see if it lets me do that. All right, it does not really want me. I don't know why it is doing that, because, all right, so maybe I won't be able to show you that. But I'll have to get some pictures up maybe on the community page of how it came out and the rendering I did. But essentially, it's just a box with long enough for the brushes. The fan brush was the tallest, and then I put these on 3 sides. So if you're a Lego maker, or if you partake in Legos, you'll know that you will that you have a thing that separates the Legos out, separates the Legos when you can't separate them. It's a little tool. It has kind of an angled notch to it, and then it has a long piece to it, and they're all now downstairs. I don't have one up here to show you, but that's what this is for. And I put 3 on the outside, and then it's a pretty simple tool there for her. So hopefully that works out for her. And but that took up the week. And let's see here. Let's see if it. right. So that was what took up most of my time this week. So yeah, yeah, because I was gonna show the reason I didn't do that. Well, for one, you'd probably be like, "Well, where is it?" And two, I didn't bring it up also because I was going to show you the rendering of it, which I like better than the outcome. There are some mistakes I made on it. I can do better with it. All's fair in love and hobbies. That's a good one, Bill. Um, but anyway, so I'm sure she'll come up with other stuff. We had bought shelving for her, and that's starting to get filled up. Some of the models or some of the Lego kits done are on there, and one of them's filled with right now with Lego kits that aren't done. So her hobby's kind of blooming, but she has a lot more money in that hobby than I do, which is good because it's a lot more expensive. I'm at the bare bones where I don't have any extra money right now. So I'll have to save up a little bit somehow. Maybe I'd say I'd work extra hours, but unfortunately, the um, the downside of being salaried is it doesn't matter how many hours you put in, you don't get overtime. So, okay, so before we get to the other project I was working on that I'm sure everybody's looking for, of course, I'm probably not going to be able to bring this up. I'm going to try to do so, but see if we're going to try this browser thing again. Let me bring that up. So the Twin Cities division's getting active again. And okay, let's see if we can then show this. I don't know if it's. I don't know if I need special. I'm still just getting used to this. Wanted to bring this up. So on the page, I'll put it in here. This weekend, we have an event. Since this isn't doing all that I want it to do, which is so wonderful. Go to the TwinCitiesDivision.org. Go to Skills Day page. Tomorrow morning, starting at 9 a.m. It's expected to go about till noon. For our Skills Day, it's a little bit different thing that we're trying. It's a clinic on. It's a hands-on clinic on dispatching using track warrant control, and I'm interested to go. I'm not as much of a operator, but I'm always wanting to learn. We had a meeting on Wednesday night, a regular monthly meeting, and a survey was brought to us to fill out. And the trouble I have with the survey is it has so many things on it, but I actually want to do them all. I don't care if I've done something. We had a mini clinic last night at the meeting on airbrushing. I didn't care that I already airbrush. I just want to get better at everything I do in the hobby. So I would love anything that goes on, even if I'm not as interested right away. On here too, if you're the other thing that was out this week, comes out on Fridays when it does come out, is our Twin Cities Division Crossing Gate podcast. That was a discussion with folks that went to the St. Louis RPM. and that's out there for you on your favorite podcatcher. If you can't find it on the website here, and you can even go right on the Skills Day page, it's right on there. I think it follows on each page. You can play it right on there if you want. And there's connections to Spotify, I think, and to Apple Podcasts. If you want to click on those to download it onto your Apple, I have Apple Podcasts, so I could do that, or you could play it right on the computer if you want, if you're at home, or if you go on the website and you're on your phone, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can play it right on there if you like. So either way, check that out. We're starting to get a little more active. Next month we'll have our regular meeting, and then we're going to have our fall layout tours, which will be a lot of fun. We're going to have 5 to 6 layouts on the east side, so St. Paul's side of the Twin Cities, coming up. So for sure, check those out. And that's what's going on with the Twin Cities division. Right. And then there are some Twin Cities events coming up. The National Narrow Gauge Convention is here in the Twin Cities from September 2nd to 5th. And then on September 19th, the Twin Cities Model Railroad Museum has their Fairgrounds Flea Market show that we all like to go to. We all converge, and the Twin Cities division will be there with a layout where you can operate on the in-scale layout, and check us out as well. Then in October, there's the Great Train Show in Shakopee. So that's October 10th and 11th. You can find those calendars and all that information on the Twin Cities Division's website, and that's tcdnmra.org, or click the link that I put in the chat. So that's a little bit of there you go. So let's talk about actual model railroading stuff. Oh, I also got some, with the last few dollars that I got at Walmart, I got some drawers, as I'm trying to be more organized with my stuff and be able to move around my desk, because this area stays clean only for these live streams. Otherwise it's filled with stuff. The desk is filled with stuff. But as you saw if you saw the thumbnail, you see that I'm working on trying to finish up the 3D printed gondola. So I used to get, Jenny, like they would, from pulling apart and trying to pull them apart and stuff, the edges and stuff would just rip up my fingers, like up around the cuticle there would always get messed up. So but this is what we're working on, and so this is going to be red because that's what New Jersey Transit seems to use for their maintenance away vehicles and things. And if you remember, I don't know if I still have the bottle. I might have actually been smart and got rid of it potentially, because I got rid of it. It was emptying in the way. Brad, our friend Brad from Willow Creek, suggested the XPF, the flat red from Tamiya, and I've been using pretty religiously either craft paint or Vallejo paints, and so I did that, and it came out really well um, on the flat car. It took some practice because it sprayed differently. But so I was at the hobby shop checking to see if there are any other deals that I could afford. And I'm sure you're sick of me saying that I can't afford stuff. But anyway, I decided instead of spending $3 or $4 on the paint, I have tons of paint here. I don't have a red paint in Vallejo, but I do have this gigantic bottle. 8 ounces is gigantic in the spray world. That actually happened to get on clearance at Michael's. So it was a little more than this. It was probably, this says it was $5.49. It was probably even a little more than that at some point, or right around there. Anyway, and so I was going to use craft paint. Craft paint needs a little manipulation, and this had been sitting around, so it had to be shaken up. I don't have a shaker. I don't have an automatic stir or anything, so I did a lot of this shaking stuff, a lot of it. And and I've been using this, but it was pretty solid in here. I don't know if it's like, I probably can't tell, but like most around the edges, it's pretty solid. I was chipping stuff off of there, and then inside it was too. So also trying to find ways to spray better. It wasn't, I've taken a lot of, I've really listened in on a lot of tips, and I have a Harder and Steenbeck airbrush now. So I've been watching their videos for their recommendations, but also other people, and such a simple solution, but, I got these paper filters. I'm out. I got to go to the auto parts store and pick these up, and boy, does that help a lot. Gets a lot of chunks out of the paint that just didn't shake up. This is my last one. I got to go get these. These I might be able to afford. I don't know, they've gone up in price, but they're like, I don't know, 30 cents, I think, or 20 cents, something like that. It's really cheap. I think I got 10 of them for $3 or something. Anyway, so I did that. And then I've experimented. I have my little, you can't really read that on there, but it's distilled water. I keep distilled water all the time. That's an Aliens bottle from the Dollar Tree that I now use for distilled water. It squirts out drops of water too, which is really nice. So, hey, Split Rock, welcome in. I don't know if you're here when I mentioned it, but I did mention tomorrow's clinic to everybody, hoping some folks will show up, and I can't wait. I can't wait for those donuts for sure. Hey, Bob, welcome in. Nice to see you in here. It's fun to see all the stuff you're just going, because you and I both are really into the 3D printing of model railroad stuff. So it's really nice to see what you're doing and how you're going forward. And I'm looking forward to that building because it brings me back to my Star Trek days. So that'll be a cool build. Anyway, so let's see here. I don't know why that's still there. Okay, it's on that one. Sorry, I'm getting used to all these screens. So distilled water, again, as I said, is one of those things that I will use. Alcohol. I printed a cap that sort of fits because I lost the cap in the abyss on the floor somewhere. I got to still look for it. But 70% alcohol we use to thin. I also use that as a cleaner too. That was a recommendation that seems to work really well. So then when I go to clean it in the sink, the airbrush, it's so much less to clean. It's so much nicer. And then I still have my trusty old bottle of Tamiya acrylic thinner. I know that in general, for all the paints to work really well, you're supposed to have um, have the same brand of stuff, but honestly, this works perfectly well, and with Vallejo paints. And at the time I got it, it was cheaper than the Vallejo thinner, so that's why I ended up getting it. So I've used any number of those. I generally start with water, the distilled water, before I get into these with the craft paints, because they really have to be broken down, and and so and sometimes these will break up the paint, but sometimes it won't mix well back together. Water seems to do that just fine. Alcohol seems to do that just fine. So um, that's what I did. I ended up using water for that. And then the other thing I always put in to start with is a few drops of this flow improver. It extends the paint supposedly, and um, with craft paint, it dries pretty quickly. And then I throw it in a bottle here, and I made a full bottle of this stuff. And again, shook it up on my own because I don't have a shaker or anything like that. And I'm not a great airbrusher. I'm a okay airbrusher. Um, and like I said, I haven't finished it. I probably did 2 or 3 coats on each side, and there's spot. It's hard to tell um, in the camera, but it's spot there are spots that are very thin and in crevices and around things that I keep having to go over. I had to do that with the flat car too. The flat car featured that wood top, so you didn't see as much of the painting, but um, you can see some. I mean, it's pretty bright in the camera, but you can see some different tones in here, and that's where it's a little bit lighter and a little bit darker. So I'll still go over everything with another coat at least, and then I gotta finish the top and the inside because I was painting it upside down like that, so I didn't get to it so far this week. But I'm sure this weekend I'll be able to finish that up. And once I do that, then then it'll be I have to find some decals. I have to find the decals I used on the flat car champs decals. Uh, yeah, I'm trying it. Lots of people want to see my. I don't know why anybody wants to see my face. I don't even know why my wife wants to see my face, but she does. So, um, I haven't. I just haven't tried the Mister Color leveling thinner, and I don't use acrylics. And I thought that the Mister Color was for acrylics. And you could tell me I'm wrong. I don't know for sure. But that's why I haven't tried it, because of that. But everybody seems to like the Mister Color leveling thinner, and I thought about that. Now, um, up close, you have to get pretty close, but eventually, if I can get it on camera, or if that's right, I gotta kind of focus in here. It's kind of a grainy camera anyway, so you actually can't see it very well. So that's good, but there are visible enough. If you get really close, there are visible layer lines, and um, what I what if I understand it correctly, the leveling thinner does help with. I've heard this not from actual model railroaders. I heard it from 3D printers who paint their prints that Mr. Color can help, make it help fill the gaps essentially and make it look flat. I think from a distance this looks fine, especially with the gobs of paint I put on it. Um, it really, you really lose it. The only thing that I'm concerned about showing the lines again is decals. Now they look good um, on Bob's Ice House. They look really good. There was one flat surface because that was on the build plate, but the rest had lines, and the decals went in, and you don't see that effect on them. They look really nice. So I may be just overthinking it, but I have to find those Champs decals because that was the closest lettering and numbering that I could find. And then I'll have to find some a little bit more generic stuff and base it on the pictures out there on these gondolas, um, to see if we could we could get it right, and make it look good, and then that'll be another car that's done. And I'll have to get back to the passenger cars and then get to the motive power and do the prototype certificate and all these kind of things. But I want to keep moving along with this, and um, I'm actually kind of impressed by this, how it's coming out, and I hope that it will meet the NMRA's definition of a merit-worthy car, but we'll have to find that out. I'm guessing I'll probably have to wait till if I we'll see how many cars I have to show. I will at least have this in the coil car to have evaluated. So if I don't have it evaluated before the convention, the easiest place might be the convention. Otherwise, I'll have to get together with some of our folks in the Twin Cities division and find a place where I can get them to sit down and evaluate the cars for me. But you know, so we're moving along a little bit. So I'll at least, and the convention's usually in May. It's in Sioux Falls, I think, next year. So I'll definitely have at least 2 cars, and hopefully I'll finish a passenger car. The cab car, like I said, I think I'm gonna get another decoder and potentially make that one of the super detailed motive power. But the decoder currently doesn't have motive power. It just has lights and sounds. But that's the path we're on anyway. So did I prime first? Yes. I primed this first, so again, sticking with what I know, I used the gray primer from the gray surface primer as from Vallejo. That's the one I use. It almost looks white. It's a little bit duller, but it almost looks white when it's on the model. And I actually put a couple of coats of the primer. Usually I only put a single coat of primer on, but I did put a couple coats, and it was hard to see. And you could see against the red, it looks very white anyway, but that's all primed. But I did it in spots. I certainly did put in. I was worried about catching stuff under wires and things like that, and making sure it all got primed. So that because again, I was using the craft paint, so that worried me a little. So I was a little more generous with the surface primer, and this works. Seems to work well for me. I don't have problems with paint not sticking, or where you really can tell is on styrene. If you don't prime styrene, it's like, and you just touch the paint, it's going to slide right off. It's going to be all on your fingers, and ask me how I know. So yeah, I did prime. So let's do that. I think that will work better. Moving stuff around my screen so I can see you guys and what you're talking about. So and like I said, I walk by it all the time, that's just what I thought. From maybe I just haven't seen enough people who use acrylics to do it. The only reason I stick to acrylics is because both Gopher Girl and I are very sensitive to. I've gotten worse. She's always been bad because smells and stuff kick off migraines, and it's terrible. She's done for 2 or 3 days. Like, she'll have a migraine for a day, she'll still have kickbacks for 2 days, and she'll still have kind of mushy brain for 2 days after that. And she just doesn't feel well. So I want to be able to do stuff and sit with her in front of the TV, some evenings, and just do a small project. So between the dogs eating anything that hits the floor, and me dropping everything, and anything that I do has smells to it. I'm sure you could clip that for some meme. She just can't handle it, and so I ventilate outside. I keep the door closed here. Also, because our water heater, the fuse went off once because I had stuff out in the open, and it has an open pilot light, so it shuts the pilot light off, and we stopped having hot water, and found out that there's a $150 fuse that pops when it identifies the fumes. So I'm now behind closed doors, away from that area, and away from her to do this hobby. So Jimmy, funny Jimmy. Um, um, but Bob, do you use acrylics, or do you use enamels, or are you non-discriminatory on it? So, Tom, what paint do you use for your yellow split rock engines? Okay, so you use lacquers. I wouldn't mind trying them, and the sole reason is because we can't handle the fumes and stuff, and so I'm just being overprotective of that. But I wouldn't mind someday trying them to see, because lots of people like them, and to me has been had those lacquer paints for years. I remember when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to touch them. We used to get car models when I was a kid. Um, and I was very young, and I always got the snap together models and never painted them. I think that my brother once or twice did paint stuff. Um, so I did use, so when Brad suggested the flat red from Tamiya, I enjoyed it. It just took me a minute to figure out how that sprays and everything. Um, and it does have a distinct smell to it, where I don't smell. Maybe I'm gone nose blind, but I don't smell the same thing with the Vallejo acrylics. It's almost like it's more concentrated or something, maybe. But um, yeah, I liked using the Tamiya acrylic. Yeah. Um, so Bill, one of the things I would recommend is there's plenty of get out of the um, the folks that use airbrushes, not because they don't know how to use them or anything, but look at some from the model railroading standpoint. But look at some of those airbrushers who have their own channels and show their airbrushing. One of them, I took one of his techniques on practicing where I just set up a piece of printer paper in the booth, and I was practicing on it, practicing filling little squares and doing lines and different thicknesses of lines and squigglies and circles and all those things, and kept practicing with that before I even started airbrushing anything, so any models. So I love my portable booth. I've had it for years. Another Gopher Girl find. It was like $147 back then. It works great still. I have to change the filter on it a little bit more often, I think. I don't really notice the filter at the back of it, but it gets really really thick, filled with paint, and so I probably have to um, change that a little more often. So yeah, I think one of the guys that he's I don't know, now he's doing lives and he's doing more for money and the memberships and all that stuff. But early on, he has a lot of videos from his earlier time where he was much more instructional without pay, essentially. And I learned a bunch of practice steps with him. His name's Airbrush Asylum, or the channel name is. Yeah, it works. So I do it. With that spray booth, it has the fan on the back, and that goes out the window. I don't worry as much with the acrylics, but if I did want to bring the enamels in, I would definitely be more conscious of using the vent that goes outside for sure. Most you ask Gopher Girl, most of the paint ends up on my shirt anyway. I was just who is I listening to that was talking about true color paints and the smell of those. And they were also talking about you can reconstitute them, but they dry out pretty badly. Yeah, there are times where I've had to spray very little of like these um this Rust-Oleum. I have the all three, the gloss, the semi gloss, and the flat. And if it's a small part, I'll have the booth up and stuff instead of trouncing outside, because I'm going to spray this just a couple times and it works just fine. I'll leave the room anyway, but I'll come back and don't smell a thing. So it definitely works. I definitely notice, like I said, when the filter's like solid, I notice that some of the stuff lingers. So the other thing, that's what worries me about this, not something happening to this booth. The lighting I've seen them put in these other booths that are just like this one, this portable one, um, haven't looked as good now. I haven't seen them up close, but at least online they haven't looked as good. Um, I love the lighting. The lighting, I could have those lights on and the lights off around the room, and it's plenty bright, and I can work on a model right in there if I wanted to. So I'm just praying it stays around. It's been had it for years. I don't know, Gopher Girl, how long have I had that spray booth? It's had to be at least 2019, because that's when I got, I think, the first airbrush. So it's been around for 7 years at least. That's where I think I heard it. I think I heard it last night when we were, or our Wednesday night at the meeting. They were talking about how Scale Model Supply was throwing out True Color paints because they were solid and they didn't stay. But people liked them for sure. Um, I also, because of the glues, is why I got the respirator. But I have this guy. Um, And so even if I'm putting one drop of glue on now, I'll put this thing on. It doesn't bother me to put it on. It's 2 seconds. And I haven't had the breathing problems that I originally was having. So um, for sure was worth it. So, so yeah, and they only have like two sizes of that though. I think it's a little small for me, but it still works. I haven't had the breathe ever since I started using no breathing problems after using the glue. So even if it's a little off on the fit, that's what I'm just gonna stick with because it works. Um, so the other thing I did, I'm looking forward to hopefully when the just a tangent anyway, when the NMRA fully, I asked to be part of their test program, but I wasn't accepted, or maybe it was just done at certain locations and not at the Twin Cities division. But they're automating. I don't know if automating is the right word anymore in these days, but you're going to have online forms and online management and submission of forms for achievement program. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm trying to stay organized because when I've asked for things to get signed off on, I've been asked to wait until I've finished all of the requirements for those sign offs. Um, so I started with a binder. I went to a spreadsheet. I'm trying to just stay organized and keep motivated and moving in the right direction, getting these things actually done. So I have a spreadsheet now with the certificate requirements and what I'm doing on them, and trying to keep track there. So um, yeah. For soldering, I got on Amazon. I think I've showed it before. This is a big little thing. Let's see if I can. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it on camera, but it's this is the box. There's a filter inside here, and it has a dial for power, and it has a tube on here with this. And I will put this right up to where I'm soldering, so that I'll be able to see what I'm soldering and everything underneath. But I'll put it right up to it because no matter how it, for whatever reason, I ever understand it. Anytime I ever soldered, when those you could see the smoke come up and the fumes come up, they always came up towards me. It's like I couldn't get the wind to blow it the in the house away from me, and that was a really annoying smell. I wasn't really getting affected by it, but this thing works really well. This one was reviewed at the time as being good. It's Kodo or Kato, one of those things again where we're going to argue over names, but Kotto. And this works really, really well. And I'm used to this, and it's just got this little hood. So if it's nice and powerful on here and I'm underneath it, I can see exactly what I'm doing for the soldering. This doesn't get in the way, and it still pulls up all the fumes and all the smoke. So this was a good investment. I did that years ago too. So, a little dusty on that thing because I haven't soldered anything in a while. Um, I wouldn't use the spray booth for soldering. The light's fantastic, but I wouldn't use that because it's all plastic. The whole the base of it's plastic that folds out, and then the sides that kind of keep that create the sides to it. That's all plastic, and I touch enough plastic with that thing when I'm actually soldering a model to ruin models and stuff. So I don't want to do anything um, to that. But I would assume that's pretty strong. The fan's pretty strong. It would probably pull some of that out. Yeah. Um, Flow Quill seems to have killed a lot of people's spirits by going out of business. And people, I mean, I wouldn't even mention it. You might have people who find out where you are just from your electronic signature, try to get your Flow Quill paint. So, yeah. Um, so that's um, I felt it was like um, a huge difference from week 3 to week 4 of the rib injury because I didn't even feel like doing stuff, and now I want to jump back in. So I'm happy we have a lot going on in the division, and I'm getting back at this. Um, so yeah, Jimmy, you were saying you have do you still vent out in your bunker down there, or do you not, or you didn't do you not have a vent that goes out for your stuff? I assume I thought you have your resin printer down there too, don't you? What's next for this car? So finish the paint, find the decals for it, add the have the wheels are ready to go in there, and then it's ready to be judged or evaluated, not judged. We don't use judged anymore. It's ready to be, so it'll be, so like I said, if I have to wait out till May, this will definitely be done by then. But I do have to turn my focus, especially as the hours get a little bit longer at work because this is our busy season we're hitting. um, I'm gonna have to focus on the dollhouse miniature stuff, which I didn't touch this week so far. To So I have the two projects I have to create another display for the table, and then for the underbed layout piece, I just got to find some things that I can put on there. It's a much smaller footprint, so I can't really put much on there. And I got to get the trains for them to print out. The actual little trains that I printed out just fine in the past. All of a sudden, I'm having trouble printing, so I have to figure that out. But I have, Mom, if you're still on, what's the date of the November show? Um, so, and also in November, it looks like I'll be traveling out to visit my mom. So I'll be in New Jersey. So I'll probably be reaching out to you, Bill, to see if I can say hi when I'm out there and see if we can do some model railroading stuff. But the deal is, because it's our busy season, I don't get time off. So I actually have to work when I'm out there. There's a office about a half hour away from where my mom lives. I can work in her house. I've done it before. Or I could go to the office if I need to. So she does definitely, but and I have, I've been thinking about it. I spent a lot of hours on the underbed layout piece, and I started tracking my time. I found a widget that would track my time when I'm using Onshape, which is the CAD program that I use, and trying to see if I can create value and understand, especially from the 3D printing world. If I ever have something that works well and people like, there's nothing to say I won't actually sell something. I'm not out there to make a business out of it, but if I can make a few bucks, I would. So I know that Gopher Girl was taking some pictures of her, of the box I made for her, and if she posts that and people like it, somebody's going to be like, hey, can you make me one of those and stuff. So let's see here. Where to find it? How do I get to that? Goes to GitHub. I don't want to go to GitHub to find where I saved the. Oh, I know, it's a. Let me see if this will open up. I'm just curious at how much time I actually worked on it. I don't know if that actually opens anything up when I do that. I have an app. I have a link to something on there, and it's in the browser, but it doesn't necessarily just go out to the app or website. And I go to open the website, and it doesn't really do anything. So I'll have to look at that at another time, I think. But what else is going on out there, folks? Yep, that's have a good night, Bob. I know this is kind of a later show anyway, depending, especially if you're on the East Coast. But yeah. 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 And, I've gladly, as a perk for coming to our meetings, I've certainly made stuff for folks at our meetings that are tools that I think people will use and enjoy and stuff like that. And I don't mind. This doesn't cost me almost anything, and so I don't mind doing that kind of stuff. And I think it's a perk of people who come to for people who come to the meeting. So I'll continue when I find stuff. I'll continue to do that. So, and knowing that we've got to get up early, Tom, for the little clinic you're going to be putting on for 3 hours tomorrow. I think I'm also going to call it tonight, um, so I can get my beauty sleep and be fresh and ready for the clinic. Um, yep. So yeah, I part of the problem is I've been coming out during the summer, Bob, Bill, for a lot of the years when I've come visit my mom again and my family out there. I've come during the summer, and there's just not a lot of model railroading stuff that's advertised that's going on. And I've even tried to connect with people through the NMRA. And one time I had an opportunity to do that, and they had a family emergency, so I never connected with them. So that when I was out the next time, that I could come over. But yeah, I certainly want to connect. But like I said, it's yeah, I'll definitely hit that up and see what we could do. Um, well, hopefully, Dwight, hopefully you get a little bit of sleep. But I'm gonna pack up and pack all this stuff up and um, call it a night, like I said. And I really appreciate everybody hanging out with me and making it through. And I think we did a decent job making it through with the technology today as well. And because I want to continue to get to know OBS better and have more things that I can present and do and look on here than some of the limitations you have with the other services. So we're going to continue to work with this and try and expand on it. And want to thank everybody for hanging out and say have a fantastic weekend and a great night. And remember to just jump in.